Hey, so I wanted to make a quick video where I would be using ASP.NET Web API with the Cassandra backend. So I wanted to just walk through a simple example of how this can be done. So I'm going to be using a couple things here. I'm going to actually be using, like I said, Cassandra. So one thing we're going to need to do this if you want to follow along is you're going to want to go ahead and download Cassandra. So you'll go here to the link of download and you'll download the latest version of the Cassandra here. So I'm using 3.4, so you just want to download it and I just put it onto my C drive right here um, in this folder. So that's all you really need to do is just extract it and you have it there. You also need to make sure you have Python installed, so you can just go ahead and install it in Python, um, 2 or 3. It should be fine. So you'll need to have that installed as well. After that, what I'm going to use to just get up and running really quickly with Cassandra is I will be using Docker. So whether you're on PC or Mac, it's pretty easy to get up and running with Docker. So I'm actually going to be using their UI um, to make it a little bit easier rather than using the command prompt. So you'll see how we'll get up and running pretty quickly. And this is going to be a pretty simple example what I'll be building. And it might be a two-part video where I just do the Cassandra part in the first video, and in the second video I will do the web API in ASP.NET C#. So what I just wanted to show here an example. If you want to visit my GitHub page where I'm actually doing the same exact thing, but a little bit more, a little bit more thorough than I'm going to be doing in this demo. Because the demo, I just want to kind of show the basics. So if you want to come and check this out, feel free to take a look there. So, anyways, like I said, you want to make sure you go download Cassandra and extract it. Then you want to download Docker and install it. So you'll see I already have it installed here. So let's go ahead and get our Cassandra instance up and running. So what we're going to want to do first is we're going to want to go ahead and click and get our Docker UI up and running. It takes a little bit because it's starting a virtual box behind the scenes. So we'll go ahead and wait for this to finish loading. In the meantime, you might want to go ahead and make sure you have Python installed. So let's go here and have this command prompt up. And okay, so you want to make sure you have, so I have Python 2.7 installed. So just make sure you can do that from your command prompt because you're going to need it. So this looks like it's about done. And you don't have to install Docker locally like this. I just like to use I mean, you don't have to install Cassandra like this and get up and running. I just think it's a lot easier with Docker because you can kill it and get another one back up, and you can really get some of these proof of concepts up and running very quickly using Docker. Okay, so that looks done. So I'm going to go ahead here on the search bar. I'm going to look for Cassandra. And I'm going to go ahead and just pick the first one, the official one, and let's go ahead and create it. So I've already pulled this down already, so it's going to be pretty quick for me. So it's going to go ahead and get started. But one thing to really take notice here is that we're going to actually need to connect on this port right here. So we're going to need to know this access URL, so this IP address with the port. So this is very important. You're going to see why right now. So this is spinning up. And this is all you really need to do to get up and running with Cassandra on Docker. So this is why I like to do this instead. So while that's running, let's get our command prompt up here again. And here, let's go ahead and let's exit this. Okay, so we're going to want to CD into our C drive. Okay, and let's go ahead and we can see there that we have our Apache Cassandra folder that we downloaded and extracted. So let's go ahead and go into that. And let's see the file contents. So we're going to want to go into the directory of bin. So let's do that. And what we're going to want to run here in this directory is we're going to want to run this this SQL sh or this Cassandra, the client to connect to Cassandra. So we're going to go ahead and type in this. You can follow along with whatever you have here because you're going to type in the CQL sh, and then you'll see here that we need to access this port that's typically on 9042. So we're going to go ahead and it looks like for us it's going to be 192.168.99.10, and then after that we just put a space in the port, And that looks good. Go ahead and hit enter. Okay, so it looks like we need to double check this real quick, see why it's not connecting. So it looks like, oh, it looks like I missed a 0. Sorry about that. And there you go. You see that we are now connected to the test cluster. So I didn't change any settings on here, so you can go ahead and do that. There's other tutorials, but I want to keep this pretty simple. So let's go ahead and clear this so we get a nice prompt. So I definitely recommend visiting DataStax or some other websites to get some of the basic knowledge and how the basics of Cassandra work. But essentially, the first thing we need to do in order to create a table in Cassandra is we need to create a key space. It's like a namespace, but they call them key space. So I have some basic SQL I already kind of wrote up for this demo, so I don't have to type it out and bore you. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste these in. You can follow along. So first thing I'll do is create the key space, and I'm going to do it the replication I believe of 1 using the simple strategy. So now that I've created my key space, I'm going to want to use it. So let's go into using, and I called it blog. So of course we're going to be creating a simple blog with just posts. That's it. So to do that, so now we are in the use key space, or the blog key space. So next thing we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to here, I'll move this. We're going to want to create our table. So we're only going to have is a post ID, which will be a GUID, and then a title and a body, and the data was last updated or posted. So like I said, it's just for an example. So we go ahead and create it, and let's go ahead and see what. Let's go ahead and take a look at what this actually looks like on Cassandra. So if we do a describe post, we can see a little bit more details on what's the making up of this table in Cassandra. So you'll see now what we can do. Now we have our tables. We can do some basic SQL here. And you see we have nothing in there. That's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and paste some in now. Hit enter. Now let's go up and let's see what we have there now. And there you go. So now we got some basic data into Cassandra. So I think for this video that will be enough, but in the next video what I'll do is I'll be connecting to this cluster where I put in this data, and I will be using ASP.NET WebApi 2, and I'll be pulling the data out of here. I'll be using the DataStax driver, the C# driver for that, doing some basic CQL that's kind of built into that driver, and really take advantage of what's provided by them. So I'll go ahead and call that for this video, and please check out the next video where I'll actually be connecting it to the .NET application. Thank you.